Hi, welcome back to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Here in Florida, the kids have already gone back to school, but maybe by you they haven't gone back just quite yet, but school season is definitely upon us. And if you're like most moms, you have been super busy putting the last minute details on everything for them to return. And because of that, you may not have had an opportunity to even think about perhaps a card and a very small gift for your child's new teacher. And that's what I've got for you today. Here's the card we're going to be creating together today. Super cute and really easy. In addition to it, I'm going to teach you a coordinating bookmarker that fits on the corner of the pages that you can give your teacher as a gift. The great thing about this project is you're going to be able to have your kids help you with it as well. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you click the bell icon next to the subscribe button. That will send you notifications of when I'm live here on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new video. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's project. Here's a good close-up of the card we're going to be creating together today. Look at those glasses. Don't they look like 3D? I'm going to teach you a really cool trick that you can do to add to images to make them look more like glass or give them a 3D kind of look. I'm going to start with the tag that's on that card. This is a piece of Whisper White cardstock and it measures 2 by 4 1/4. You're going to find all the cutting dimensions down in the video description below if you are here visiting from YouTube. I'm going to be using the scalloped tag topper punch. This makes my life so easy. You're going to see that the cardstock slides right up to the track. Make sure you push it in as far as it can go and then use the heel of your hand and then press, and that's going to create the tag for you. I decided I wanted to corner round the bottom 2 corners on this tag, so I'm bringing in the detailed trio punch. One of my favorite punches here in the studio because it's 3 punches in one. It'll corner round here. This makes the perfect size hole for ribbon on tags, and this creates a beautiful decorative corner. Now you're going to find a guide and 3 positions on this punch, which is going to make it really easy for you to slide the cardstock in. It's best used flat on your work surface. So I'm going to take that corner and I'm going to slide it in here for the corner rounder, and then I'll press. And then I'll turn and I'll do the exact same thing now on the other side. The images for this card are coming from the stamp set called Check You Out. Really cute. This would also make a great gift for a teacher as well. You're going to be able to find this product in the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. Now, if you don't already have a demonstrator and you're interested in receiving a complimentary copy, head over to lisasstampstudio.com and click on Contact Me. I'm going to be working from the bottom up to make sure that we don't run out of room. That's just a great tip for you. I'm going to be using my Memento Black ink pad for the greeting. That stamp set has several greetings in it, but for this one I chose Starting a New Chapter, perfect for the beginning of the school year. I'm going to go ahead and ink that up and I'm going to stamp that here near the bottom. I'm switching over to Granny Apple Green. And I've chosen the solid image from the stamp set that looks like a bookend. The great thing about photopolymer stamps is they're completely clear, which means when you ink them up on your ink pad, they're actually going to turn the color of the ink, which makes positioning very simple. And then I'll stamp that here right above the greeting. I'm coming over to Balmy Blue, and I've chosen another bookend image from that same stamp set, and I'll go ahead and ink that up as well. This book will get stamped just on top of the other. I'm going to go back to the Granny Apple Green ink pad, and I've got my adorable little bookworm here from that stamp set, and I'll ink him up. Then the worm will sit right on top of this book. That stamp set has the most adorable little glasses. It's going to fit the worm, but it's also going to fit the owl that's part of that stamp set. I'm going to ink those up in the black Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp those here. I thought his bow tie needed a little bit of color, so I'm going to bring in the coordinating marker to that Balmy Blue ink pad. The markers are dual-ended. You'll see here that there's a thin line on this side, which designates the pen side, and a thicker line here, which designates the brush tip. I'm going to go ahead and use the brush tip and color in that bow tie. Now, I mentioned to you that this is going to be a 2-in-1 project today. So while I have my ink pads out, I'm going to slide that over. And I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to stamp that bookworm one more time. We're going to set this one aside. We'll come back to that for the corner bookmarker in just a minute. Now that that panel is finished, I'm going to bring in a piece of Balmy Blue cardstock, and a piece of Whisper White cardstock. I'm actually going to layer these two together. I'm going to be using my silicone craft sheet. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to place adhesive on the back. The silicone craft sheet is one of my very favorite tools here in my stamp studio because liquid glue, hot glue, and adhesive will not stick to it, which means I'm going to keep my work surface sticky free. I've got the card base here. I did score it right before you joined me, so I'm going to go ahead and fold that in half. If you've watched my videos before, you know I'm a big fan of that bone folder for a good crease on my card. And then I've brought in a piece of Designer Series paper. This comes from the Subtles Assorted Designer Series paper stack. And like most of the Stampin' Up! Designer papers, they are double-sided, which gives you lots of options. I'm going to bring back my silicone craft sheet, and once again, I'm going to add adhesive around the perimeter of the designer paper. This is now going to get centered right here in the middle of my card base. Those layers that we created are going to get adhered here. Then once again, I'll use my silicone craft sheet. I'm going to leave about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom here before I adhere this. I'm looking to make sure that it's flush on both sides as best that I can. And remember our tag? We're going to flip that over, and I'm going to be using my dimensionals on the back side. So I'm going to place one in each of my 4 corners, and because this is a sizable panel, I'll place one more in the center just to make sure it's well balanced, and then we'll take off those paper backings. This now will get mounted to the right side of my card base. I'm going to leave a little bit of that blue layer here showing, and then I'll tack that down. To finish off the top, I cut about 5.5 inches of this beautiful woven granny apple green ribbon. And I'm going to make what I call an air knot, which means I'm just going to make a knot right in the air. And then I'm going to pull it tightly. I'm going to add a glue dot to the back to hold it in place right over that hole. That's going to eliminate us having to thread that, hoping that it's going to lay even. I'm going to take my scissors now and I'll come in and give this a little bit of a trim. Now that we have the card, let's work on the corner bookmarker. To make the bookmarker itself, I'm using a piece of regular computer paper. If you choose to use Designer Series papers, which I do have one finished for you to show you some alternate ideas, you're going to want to be cognizant that it's going to be a little bit thicker, so you're going to need to take your time and make sure that your creases are well aligned. This measures 5 by 5. I have made one that's also 4 by 4. Hold the paper on the diagonal, and then you're going to take the bottom corner and bring it up to the top. Align the edges as best you can and then crease. Take the right bottom corner and you're going to match it up here to the very top point of that triangle and then press. And you'll do the exact same thing now with the other side. Do your very best to align here at the tip and then up the middle. Once you have it creased, open it up. You're going to find that there's 2 layers here. Take the first layer and fold it down to the center crease so the point is here near the bottom, and then fold. The last step is to take this corner and we're going to tuck it behind this edge. So I'm going to fold that down inside of here. I'm going to do my very best to make sure that that area is straight, and then I'll crease. We're going to do the exact same thing now with this side. We're going to bring this up and then we're going to tuck it to the back. Open up the pocket and do your very best to make them straight down inside so there's no buckling. This is the top, and this is going to go over the book page, and I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. Remember that adorable bookworm that we also stamped? Well, we're going to go ahead and cut this out. Now, for those of you that have punches, you're welcome to use those, or you can give the paper itself to your child and have them decorate it. You can use wrapping paper to make your bookmarkers. Even a child's coloring book page will work well. I'm going to cut this image out. I'm leaving a little bit of white cardstock all around the edges just so that I'm careful not to distort it. For older school-age children, this is definitely something they can do with you. Now that that's finished, all we're going to do is attach it. So I'll flip that upside down, and this time I'm going to be using my mini dimensionals. And you can see that I've used these quite often. I really love them. My Take Your Pick pickup tool has a tacky strip on this end, and then it has an interchangeable dial tip on this end, and I've got the paper piercing tool attachment. It also comes with a double-sided stylus tool that dials right inside of here, protective caps for both ends. I just took this one off, and it also comes with a putty refill. It's a fabulous deal for just $10. So I'm going to pick up one of those small dimensionals, and I'm going to place that here near the top, one near the center, and then one near the bottom. I'll remove that paper backing from those small dimensionals, and then here along the crease, I'm going to mount my bookworm. I wanted to show you how the bookmarker works. Just open up any page to the book and it will hold numerous pages at a time, and then just slide the bookmarker over the corner. Now I promised you some other samples, so this is the one made with the computer paper. This one is made from vellum cardstock, and you're going to see I just took the greeting that I used on the card and I simply just punched it out using circle punches. This one uses a slightly smaller square. This is 4 inches by 4 inches, and this is with designer series paper. Last but not least, I have one here that the kids can actually create. Give them crayons or markers or colored pencils and let them either draw or stamp right on top of the computer paper. Now there's one more step before we go that I wanted to share with you. On my original card, I used a little trick to create these glasses to look more like glass, and that's done using the fine tip glue. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unscrew the cap, and you're going to see that there is a needle type tip here, which makes it very easy to use, and it's very, very fine. I like to start with a scrap piece of paper to make sure this is flowing well, because the last thing we want are some clumps. So I'm just going to tap it to get it flowing, and you can see it coming out here. And once I have it coming out nicely, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill in these glasses. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tap, and I'm going to move the needle of the glue around. And basically what I'm doing is just spreading it. So I'm going to fill the first lens, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other lens. This will need to sit and dry for about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how thick you made the glue. But once it's finished, it's going to look like this, and it's going to give you that fun, glossy look. This is a great technique if you're doing vases or other projects that you want to give a little bit of texture and shine to. Now to close the fine tip glue, I recommend wiping off the tip with a scrap piece of cardstock or a tissue. Hold your finger here against the needle, and then there's a pin in the cap. Align them and then press down and twist. Make sure that you store the liquid glue straight up and down so that it doesn't clog. Whether you're creating these for a teacher, I've got lots of ideas here for the corner bookmarkers as well as for the card. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like. And thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.